Everybody, welcome to Fulfillment Project. Today, I am so excited to welcome Emily Eiguren. Emily is a Western photographer and artist whose work captures the raw beauty and the American West. It's people, land, animals, and way of life. Raised around ranching and horses, Emily blends deep roots, faith, and artistry to tell authentic stories through her lens. She's the founder of Roadrunner Gallery, an online, beautiful, fine art gallery featuring her Western photography. Me and my wife, Shannon, have many of her works. I've got a hat, I've got cups, so much stuff all around our house. And her work spans everything from fine art prints to editorial and commercial projects. At the heart of it all, Emily's mission is simple but powerful: to honor real life, real work, and real stories through honest imagery. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hey, Andy. Thanks so much. This is going to be a great time talking with you.
So amazing. I've never had anyone on the podcast like you. Last 28 days, we clocked 35,000 views on Fulfillment Project. So I'm just tickled to bring you and your unique perspective to the audience. So let's just kick off where it all began, Emily. How were you raised? How were you born? I think that'll give us a little insight into how you developed into this wild Western creative.
Sure.
If that's a fair way to paint you.
Oh, man, I'll take that title. That sounds really cool. So, yeah, I grew up in the agricultural and ranching industry, born into it. My parents were working on my mom's family ranch when I was born, and that is in Texas. And so I grew up on the family horse and cattle ranching operation in Texas, kind of in a few different spots. And we moved to Western Nebraska for a little while during my childhood. My dad worked on the Haythorn Ranch there. And so a couple different places, but all very much involved in ranching and horses. And I cannot think of a better way to grow up. It formed me in so many ways. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and all of us consider ourselves very fortunate to have been raised as ranch kids, and all that has taught us, and just the joy of the childhood, the freedom, the safety, the adventure, all of those things that we think of when we think about our childhood. So it did really kind of set me up with a lot of connections, a lot of wonderful people in the ag world, kind of a pioneer spirit, I like to call it, that kind of boosted me into the career I ended up capitalizing on.
So your dad, Todd McCartney, a man I look up to, mentoring me, your mom, Marianne, just first-class woman, a woman all women could aspire to. Growing up in that household in Texas, in Nebraska, I can't help but let my drawl come out a little bit here. I mean, what are some key highlights from childhood that are foundational to the person you've become today? Is there anything you wish every kid in the world could experience that you got to experience growing up?
The first thing that comes to mind is closeness with the land and the animals. Just getting to spend so much time in a very relaxed, normal setting around animals. It teaches you a lot about the cycle of life, for one, death, birth. It teaches you about suffering, about struggle. It teaches you how to doctor animals that may be hurt. It teaches you how to care for God's creation. It teaches you, the differences that in man and beast, and that we do have authority over the animals, yet we are called to care for them and treat them as creatures that God created. The relationships you get to form, say with your horses or your show goat or even just the cows and calves. Like, just as a little girl, I definitely have special memories of bottle feeding a sick little baby calf, and that was a responsibility, and I had to you know, that was important. And when I got home from school, like that had to be done because we have to take care of, those animals. And so that's the first thing that really comes to mind, is that availability to animals of all sorts of species.
What a unique childhood, Emily. How did you get into photography? Why photography? Why aren't you riding a horse, lassoing some cattle?
I
Or do you still lasso some cattle?
Yeah, I do a little bit here and there. Being a mom now, I've slowed down on my cowboying a little bit, but I definitely hope to get back in it. But as far as like why photography, so that the beginning of that story kind of started when I was about 11 years old. I was, like I said, I was the oldest of five. There were a bunch of little kids in the house. I was looking for my own freedom, my own independence, something that was mine. And I asked my mom one day if I could borrow her Kodak point and shoot camera. And I just would go outside and just have my own time. And I would literally take pictures of what 11-year-old girls take pictures of: dogs, flowers, horses, sunsets. Um,
Yeah.
and it was like my time, and it was my thing that it like brought me so much joy. It was just this fun little thing that I could go outside and do and just learn on my own. And there was obviously no pressure. I was literally 11 years old. I didn't have internet. I
Yeah.
didn't have the phone. I didn't have like someone telling me that I need to do this. And after a while of that, my mom would see my pictures and she was like, "These are really good, actually." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Like that butterfly was following me around.
Yeah.
And so I was involved in 4-H. And
What's
there is
4-H for those non-farmers?
yes. So 4-H is a youth organization that originally was based strictly in ag. It's broadened outside of that. There's lots of projects other than just ag projects now.
Hey, everyone. Quick 10-second ask from you. If you're digging the show and you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite part. If you're listening on Spotify, please give this show a 5-star rating. On iTunes, please leave a quick review. If you're listening on Substack, please subscribe and join the comments. You may want to subscribe in a few different places. For example, YouTube, you get all of our short content, 60-second to 90-second clips, our segments where we segment out 1 to 6 minute different segments of each episode. And then if you subscribe on the Substack, I summarize the episode in a newsletter. You can read it in a couple minutes. And then a couple days after the episode, I put out a self-reflection guide to help you personalize the content to your life. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please share it with a friend.
It's a youth organization, and it did start fundamentally within agriculture, but it's branched out now, and its main focuses are leadership, experiences, some within the ag industry that include like showing animals, and then some things like photography, public speaking, choreograph routine, just a whole array of things like that. And so my family was very involved in that. My parents were involved in 4-H, and there's a photography project. And so I
Yeah.
naturally got interested in the photography project. And that's where I kind of was able to start entering these shows. And I was getting blue ribbons. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, you know?
With your mom's little point and shoot, or had
Yes.
you upgraded at that point?
No, not that point yet. So, I would go to like the 4-H photography club meetings, and that's where I first started learning like the actual, logistics of my camera and all those things where so much of, I mean, all I was going off of was just the feel that I had for, the natural eye that I had for creating an
The
image.
artist intuition that some
Absolutely.
people get that gift, and
Absolutely.
you seem to have it.
So that's where it started. And when I was 16, I got my first real camera from my parents, a used Canon camera. And that's when I started like taking photos for families and seniors and stuff like that in my community. And I remember the very first senior portrait shoot that I did for a friend. I I charged $30, and I remember being so nervous that that was gonna be too much, and obviously, it wasn't too much. I think I delivered, like, 600 pictures or something insane like
Oh
that,
my gosh.
and,
Now
yeah,
would be like a $20,000 project. You're like
it's
sweating
so
over the
funny.
$30 ask.
Yeah, I was, I guess, a sophomore in high school, and she was a senior, and I remember she gave me the $30 in the hallway at our lockers, the next day, so, yeah, that's where it started.
Making money on your passion. So what's so unique about you, Emily, and one of the many reasons I wanted to have you on is because a lot of people don't follow their childhood dream. Like you have a dream to be a photographer when you're a little girl, and then you grow up and the world punches you in the nose, and now you work in a cubicle every day doing a job where you have limited agency, limited creative ability, and limited flexibility to follow your passion. How did you fight against the current that naturally draws one in to the status quo? Like, how are you an artist? How do you do that?
Mhm.
Was there ever a fork in the road when you had to decide, or did I'm wondering now if the momentum of your success kept piling up where being a photographer was just actually the path of least resistance?
Yes, both. The answer to that is both things happened. There was a fork in the road, but I felt so strongly where to go. So fast
If there's a fork
forward
in the road, take it, Yogi Berra.
fast forward to my senior year of college. So I
Yeah,
went to Texas Tech University. I studied agricultural communications, which
hook
was
'em.
no
Is
sir.
that them?
Rack- no sir, we don't do that. Uh, and it was like the perfect that degree was like the perfect combination of the agricultural world that I love and am passionate about, as well as the photography and creative and communication side. So, anyways, senior year, I've continued doing photography all through
Yeah.
college, helping pay my way, doing a lot of portrait work still, family sessions, incorporating more ranch work, editorial work for magazines, very much all very Western, but lots and lots of portraits. Did that through my 4 years of college. So I get to my last semester of college and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, here's that fork in the road. I've had some ag businesses reach out to me about applying for a communications position within their company, like super flattering. Is that something I want to do? Or do I want to take a risk?
Jobs that have things like a salary, health benefits,
Right.
security.
Right, but keep in mind, no one in my family has jobs like that. Like, my immediate family, that's not the norm that I knew growing up. I really honestly
Okay,
didn't
fair.
know that many people that had jobs like that, and so I think that played a role in it too. So, my parents have always been self-employed, in the ranching cowboy world somehow, since I was born, whether that was my dad working for a ranch, cowboying for a ranch, or then when they began running their own cattle and they were self-employed. So like I never saw a 9 to 5. I never had a parent that left and went to the office and had
Mm.
had all these, ranches don't give you 401k. So you get benefits, but there's just, I just I had a very different idea of what life looked like because of how I had been raised and what my aunts and uncles did and what my grandparents did, what our friend circle did. So I think that that probably helped me because I was already used to like not having that stability, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm trying to decide what to do. I'm in prayer a ton about it, just like Lord, make it so clear. Um, my gut, aka the whole what I believe to be the Holy Spirit, definitely kept telling me, like, you have nothing to lose. You're not married. You don't have children. You already only got a couple $100 in the bank. So, like, why not try something now that you can't try later when you do have a husband and children and, a house payment and all these things. And so, then actually I would say a big thing happened that really gave me the confidence to say, no, I'm not going to get a regular job. I'm going to go out on my own. And that was that, actually Yeti brand reach out to me, Yeti coolers, on Instagram, and ask if I would do some work for them on a ranch, photographing some product. And that was obviously a huge thing for me. And I did that job spring of my senior year, and it was a successful shoot, and that was my very first commercial shoot. So a commercial job in the photography industry would mean that it was for a business for them to use to make money. They use my images to make money off of their products. So that was my very
In
first,
like their marketing
right.
stuff, or
Yeah, and marketing on their website, and print.
how did they find a nobody girl from the middle of Texas
Yeah,
on
through
Instagram?
Instagram.
Was some just swiping and found you?
I was posting, every single day. I was posting my work. I was posting Western images every single day, and that was the time back on Instagram when if you just posted consistently and you had good pictures, you blew up. So I, had like 20,000 followers, and was getting a lot of interaction on social media during that time, and I guess that's how they found me. So funny story, Corey is the man's name that was working there at the time, and he was the head of like the Western and rodeo side of Yeti. And so he DM'd me. He tells me who he is. He's like, okay, like I wanna see more of your work. Will you please send me your website and your portfolio? I'm like, obviously, I'm just like shell shocked. I'm like telling my roommates, I'm like, yo, oh my gosh,
This
like
is
this is
insane.
amazing, like Yeti. Um, and I reply back, I'm like, yes, sir, I will get you that information tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Because the thing was, I did not have a website and I did not have a portfolio. And I made them that night. And I made a website that night. I stayed up till like 1 a.m., made myself a website, put a portfolio on it, and sent him the links the next day. And we did the job. It was out on the Bell Ranch in New Mexico. I had some great friends working out there at the time. It was a good connection. I was already going to go shoot, and Yeti just wanted to piggyback onto that job and send product and then use those images, for some of their marketing. And yeah, it went great. And that is when I started my relationship with Yeti. And I actually am still working with them today. But to circle back and answer your question about, yeah, that fork in the road of like, what am I going to do? I definitely experienced that. And, I look back and I'm so thankful that I did take that risk and I listened to what I felt like the Lord was telling me to do. And that was the way to go. And I have no regrets about that whatsoever.
Whoa. Whoa. Have you ever been tempted to go corporate, drop the camera like in a trough in business or life and just get that agricultural job in communications, making a good salary?
No, never.
Why
There's no
not?
way I could do it. There's no way. There's no way. Once you
Top
have
three
a
reasons
taste
why.
once you have a taste of this freedom and self-expression and, like, control of your own life, I don't know how you could give that up. Like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you have to when it comes to, like, feeding your family or something like that. Like, that would be a very legitimate reason, but I think I would fight tooth and nail to not have to.
Is that the only reason? Are there other reasons?
Um, well, also because now I'm a mother and that's gonna trump anything as far as, time spent working for a different man at a business and having someone else raise my children, or, setting my own hours and having a job that I choose how it impacts my family and my life and my child. And I get to set my own hours and I get to figure out how to shift hours around in my day to be a good mom and wife first and foremost. And then in those hours of naps or sleeping or whatever, that's when I can do my photography. That's when I can talk to my clients. And to be able to do both is a huge reason for me to not ever go corporate.
We talk a lot on the pod about agency, and I think that's what you're getting at here is having the freedom and ability to follow what you love, what you're passionate about. And some people are in jobs right now that they're accustomed to making a certain amount of money, or some people are in college and they've got to tug on their heart with a passion, but they're feeling the pull to take the path of least resistance, which is a salary and benefits and a job. What do you have to say to them?
I mean, I have no judgment towards people that make that decision because thank goodness for all those people because that makes the world go round. Not all of us can, not all of us are called to do or built to do or supposed to do these type of jobs that I get to do. I obviously think it's like the best thing in the world and I pity anyone that doesn't get to have that. But the thing is, the reason I feel that way is that because it's my calling and like other people have their own callings.
Woo!
So,
yes, go keep talking, keep talking.
Like, hopefully they feel that fulfilled in whatever they're doing, even if it's something that I'm like, gosh, I could never do that. I think that just shows that I am walking in the path that I'm supposed to. Thank God. Not saying I haven't gone off it a little bit, but like within career and stuff, like that just means that I'm in my calling and hopefully those people are too. So I think, I have no judgment over what other people do to feed their family or what jobs they have or what careers they have, but I just hope that they feel like joy and contentment in that like I feel in mine.
I love when themes bubble up on different episodes from totally different people around the whole world, from Saudi Arabia to New Zealand to all over America and Europe. I've had guests on the show. And what you just said, we've kind of knocked around a little bit, but the way you just said it was so beautiful, Emily. And that is, hopefully people feel the same passion at their job as you feel at your job. And the economy is so vast and so complex. There is room for every type of personality, every skill, every trait. And so many times people settle and they think, oh, my passion can't fit into this economy. And it's like, it can. Sometimes you're in a situation, I guess I do want to say, or I feel compelled to say, like, sometimes you got to put bread on the table and you're in a circumstance where you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
And that's not your passion. 100. But it's amazing how you can exert your art on the world, no matter what that art is, whether it's a spreadsheet or a painting or a photograph or driving a car. Like, all of us have beautiful components of artistry within us. And I hope for all the listeners, if you don't feel like you get to express yourself in your life, you identify even without changing your life dramatically. You don't always need a new job or a new career to do this or a new life circumstance. You can insert in small ways. Decide one way you can insert your beautiful artistry into the world today and then do it. Or sometimes it's actually easier to decide something you're going to do tomorrow and then write it down so you can reflect on it, let it sink into your subconscious, and then let it bubble out tomorrow. That's actually my favorite way when I'm feeling down or struggling a certain day with something or thinking through something. I don't say I'm going to do it today because it's too hot in the moment. I make a plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to do it. So when I wake up, I've got that thing on my mind and I go and hit it. I had no idea what you were going to say there, Emily. That was a lot more beautiful of an answer than I could have ever constructed. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We're only a couple minutes in and we're cooking. We are cooking. Emily, you've clearly lived a life definitely different than mine. Are there any stories that stand out from your work on the ranch, your travels around doing photography, meeting unique types of people?
Yes, I do for sure I have some cool stories and I've actually lately I've been trying to compile them a little bit because it's, the hindsight thing. I realize how cool some of them are now, and I don't want to forget them, and I want to be able to tell my kids about them and stuff like that. Cause my 20s were a very unique time of life where I didn't meet my husband until I was, 26, 27. So like I was very much single, like footloose, fancy free. I got a dog named Yuma, a little Jack Russell, and we
Yuma.
yeah, she's awesome. And we would hit the road in my well, it's like a 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee, no cruise control, and just have the camera bag and head out across the West. And like it was some good times. So I've gotten to photograph on a lot of different ranches across the West, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Oregon, Idaho, Nebraska, Oklahoma, obviously Texas. And the diversity is so awesome, and to meet all the different cowboys and ranch owners and stuff, and learn from them and get to experience a day in the life or a week in the life. But some stories that are fun to talk about. Arizona, if you don't know, it is a wild place, and the West is very much still alive in Arizona. And I've gotten the opportunity to spend a little bit of time out there over the years and get some really cool pictures, do some really neat work. Some just like personal work for friends that live out there that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go follow you around. We're going to shoot this. Some for, like commercial jobs, whatever. But, so we were on this ranch, in very southern Arizona. We were down, very close to the border, and the Mexican border, that is. And, I was working for this family, Kyle Best and his family. And, I don't know if you're familiar, Andy, do you know what a maverick is? Like catching wild cattle. Do you know what a maverick?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I know the old school movie. I connect it with cowboys, but I don't know what a maverick is.
So, the definition of a maverick is a bovine of any, it can be a female, male, whatever, that gets missed when you're gathering up the cattle in the spring to brand them. And, we're talking like very brushy.
Okay,
rough.
quick pause. I'm a total noob. A bovine, is that a cow?
Sorry, cow. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cow means female though. And so that's why I was trying to use a different.
Roger that. Okay, so you're collecting all the cattle in to brand them, and one of them doesn't get collected, and they're a maverick.
And so they're a maverick, and they're
I never knew that, actually, because you hear people refer to other people, oh, they're a maverick. So that's someone that parts from the crowd or doesn't follow the normal path, is the way I've always interpreted that.
Yeah, no, so a maverick would go like, they essentially just keep getting missed year after year. So they're just living out on the wild, and most of the time they never got branded. So they're also what you would call in slang term a slick. So a slick is cattle that don't have a brand. And so they're wild cattle. And so there's definitely a big cowboy culture in Arizona around wild cattle and catching wild cattle. And there's definitely like a business around that. And they're cowboys and cowgirls that have that skill of going and catching wild cattle for people. And so, if a rancher was like, hey, like I've been missing 4 head and we can't find them. Like we brought the helicopter out, like the chopper can't find them. Like this is rough country. We need, we need to go find these. So they'll hire guys to come catch their cattle. Well, that's or just their slick. So like a slick would be an animal that it may not be a total maverick. Like it's not a bull that's lived out in the canyon for like 6 years and never been touched. It maybe just got missed this past year when you were gathering up to brand them, and they've just been rogue for like a couple months or something.
So a slick is short term, a maverick is long term.
Yeah, we can say that. A slick for sure doesn't
for a
have
city boy like me.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, I'm getting too detailed here, but I got to do some wild cow catching in Arizona, and I had my camera strapped on my back in a backpack. I kind of have a system set up for that, so I can have my gear on me while I'm riding horseback. And so I did a lot of photos, and then the guys actually talked me into leading out some slicks and putting my camera away and leading out some slicks with them. So I'll have to send you a picture so you can get an idea, but it's essentially like you find them and catch them. Oftentimes you're using dogs because obviously they're hard to catch. That's why they're mavericks they're hard to find. That's why they're mavericks in the first place. Most of the time they have horns and so they can be a bit dangerous to your horse. So your dogs help you find them. They bay them up, and then you get them roped. And once you get them roped, you got to get them headed and heeled so you can get them down. Then you got to tie their feet up, and then usually you have a horn saw. You take a horn saw with you on your saddle, and they saw their horns off so that they can't stab their horse when they're getting them back to the trailer.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they saw their horns off, and then
So we were just at the ice cream store with the kids a couple months ago, and they've got the cows out back where they get the milk from for the ice cream. And there is a bull in there that helps procreate the next generation of cows or cattle or bovines or however you call it. And that sucker was big. I don't know if anyone listening has ever seen a bull, but I would not even imagine doing what you just described, hooking up its head, tying its feet, sawing its horns off. And this is a wild, maverick, slick bull.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane to me.
Yeah, the wild
people are so courageous.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's dangerous for sure. It's extreme. It's big adrenaline rush.
Do people die doing this?
Not really. I mean, no. You can get hurt. But
wow.
Yeah, it's dangerous. So then once you attach, so you're on your horse, and the only way to get them, like you can't drive a vehicle to where they are. So you have to lead them out. And so the term leading them out is like if they have horns, you've sawed their horns off, whatever, you've gotten them tired. They're probably thinking about listening to you a little bit more. They realize they've been caught. You have a very short rope, and you attach it to them and to your saddle horn. And it's, very short. Like they're like snubbed up to the side of your horse essentially. And then,
I'm learning so much. Is that where the phrase "you're on a short rope" comes from?
Probably. Yeah.
If my mom said it to me once, she said it to me 20 times. You're on a short rope, Leonard. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this huge beast is right next to you.
Yeah. So you have other guys helping you, and as soon as you untie their feet, you get them up, and you have them snubbed to you real tight and real short so they can't get any, pull on you, any leverage on you, and you just got to start going. And there'll be guys behind you that like maybe have a hot shot or something and keep the bull going, keep the forward momentum. And then you head to the trailer, and it is like, I have like a burst of adrenaline just thinking about it. And the one that I let out with these guys wasn't even mean. It didn't have horns. Like mine was a very chill, like much more chill situation that what you do a lot of times, but it is very thrilling. It was really a fun thing that I got to do. So I photographed them doing it, and then I got to try it out myself. So
partake.
That was fun.
They got some free labor out of you. Joke's on you, Emily. So what do you call the people that do that type of work? That catch slicks and mavericks? Just cowboys and cowgirls?
Arizona cowboys, or like a wild cow catcher.
What makes someone good at that job besides for being unhinged?
I was going to say being fearless. Obviously having horse and cattle skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fearless is my big takeaway for us city slickers, that like, how can I be part cowboy? It's by being fearless. Like, to go into a situation like that, you have to have courage and be fearless. And there are times on the day, Zoom webinar meetings I get on where I get a little scared beforehand. It's like, buck up, cowboy, get fearless, and lead that cattle out here. Lead that cattle out of the canyon. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
channel my inner cowboy. Tell me about this Bell Ranch deal. What's up with Bell Ranch?
Oh, it's just a beautiful place. That's where I got that's where I was shooting when I got my first YETI job. So that was at the Bell Ranch. So it's in New Mexico. And it's north of Tucumcari, New Mexico, and it's a super, super old ranch. So it initially was a Spanish land grant. And then it was turned into the Bell Ranch. And I got to shoot there a couple times, and some of my very best images have come from there. It's a very special place for me. I just think it's beautiful, and I got to use my camera to tell some really cool stories about some cowboys out there several years ago. I'd love to go back again one day. But yeah, a lot of my favorite images are from there. And I have another story from there. When I was horseback again, and I was going with the guys. We needed to move horses. So we were moving these saddle horses, which means they're geldings, and they're the ones that the cowboys ride every single day. And we needed to move them, I don't know if it was a couple miles or a mile or two or whatever. We needed to get them out to where the chuck wagon was, where the cowboys had their teepees set up, and we were going to be out there branding for the week. And we needed to get them.
So these dudes in modern day 2026 or 2025 or whenever this was, they're in teepees with a chuck wagon, which I think is where the food is, or is there also material in a chuck wagon?
Yeah, I mean supplies. But that is like where the cook makes the meals.
So they're out in the middle of nowhere, like ain't no hotel around here. And you said another word, gelding. Mm-hmm. What's a gelding?
A gelding is a castrated male horse.
Got it. Okay, so these are the ones, they're castrated, so they behave. They're the worker horses that you ride day to day.
Yeah.
Got it. You said they work day to day. I just didn't know what gelding meant. Okay.
Yes.
Castrated.
So we just needed to take the geldings were at headquarters, like where the barns and the houses, everything were, and we needed to take them out to where the guys were camping to get them fresh horses, where they were going to.
Sorry, guys, are you listening to this crazy shit? This is insane the way people live. I'm so happy you're on. It's like Tom Sawyer, the book. Mark Twain wrote it for adults to remember the wonder of childhood. He didn't write it initially as a kid's book. He wrote it for adults to read and remember the excitement of being a kid, and to take adults back there so they'd feel less adulty and more childish. And listening to you, Emily Eiguren, I'm like, yes, there is a different way. There is a different way out there. My way is not the only way. And I'm feeling like a spark inside me. I don't know what to do with it right now, but thank you for giving me the spark. Keep going. This is wild. This is happening right now in America.
Oh yeah, all over the West. Okay, so we're taking, I don't know, 20 head of horses or something. And so it's like me and I think it was two other cowboys, and we're all horseback. And so I was borrowing a horse. I didn't bring my own horse. I was just using one of their ranch horses, and the horse's name was Scooter, and very sweet horse. We got along great. He was real gentle, and but there is this thing about horses that some horses aren't good horses. And that would mean that when you're moving horses, they want to go be with the herd. They don't want to listen to you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so some horses are great in lots of situations, but they can oftentimes get really amped up if they're moving a set of horses.
They want to go hang out with their friends. They don't want to be with the workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Scooter was a great horse. Hopefully he's still alive, wherever Scooter is. I hope he's doing well.
Scooter, God bless you.
Yeah, but he really wanted to run off. He did not want to listen to me. So I mean, imagine this. I have a backpack on, and it has like all my camera gear, like my lenses, all my stuff, not my computer, but like my lenses, my cards, my extra camera body, all that's on my back. That's strapped on me. And then I have my camera that I'm shooting with in my hand. And then I'm riding with my left hand. Camera in right hand, reins in the left hand. Like we're rolling. Um, well, I need Scooter. I'm like trying to check him up a little bit. Like I'm like, we need to slow down a little bit. I'm trying to get my shots, like I'm like, I
Yeah.
need you to stop so that I can like frame up some shots. Scooter does not want to stop. Scooter is like low key running off. Well, so I get a hold of him a little more and am, asserting some dominance. And he's throwing his head. He's getting really ticked off. And I'm like, shoot, like I don't know this horse that good, like I don't think he's gonna buck me off, but like I don't know. But I'm like, I have to get this shot. Like this is like iconic stuff. So I'm pulling on his face and I'm like scolding him, like getting him to chill out. Well, he starts rearing up. He's not bucking. Let me just say that. He's not bucking. I didn't get bucked off or anything. But he starts rearing up. And about 3 times he gets like literally perpendicular to the ground, like vertical. And so when that happens to you, so that you can like get away from the horse so the horse doesn't flip over on top of you and kill you, which is like very much a thing that happens. You kick out of your stirrups. So like you pull your feet out of your stirrups so that you don't get hung up in your stirrups and that you can like essentially like try to push away from the animal as they're falling backwards and get away from them. So I mean, my heart is racing. Obviously I'm holding my camera, but that's the last thing I'm worried about at this point. I'm just like, this horse is going to flip over on top of me. So, I mean, it got to the point where he was like rearing up so high. I mean, maybe it wasn't. It felt very much vertical where I was like kicking my feet out of the stirrups, like ready to bail because I felt like he was about to flip over backwards. Needless to say, Scooter did not flip over backwards on me. And
But you ejected? You got out of there?
No, I didn't. I never had to actually like get off of him. And we had a little come to Jesus meeting and we worked through some stuff together and I was still able to get some really cool shots. Just definitely got my heart rate up during that.
You give him a good little spur in the hiney to teach him a lesson. You ride with spurs or no? Do cowboys do that anymore?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good pair of spur. One day when I'm out west, I'm going to get a nice pair of boots with some spur in them.
I think that'd be good.
Silver. Solid silver.
Okay.
That's idiotic. I don't even know. Steel? What do you get spurs made out of?
Stainless steel with silver overlay if you want some fancy stuff.
So you're living this beautiful life, truly storybook. And if you're on Instagram, it probably looks amazing. But would you say you were fulfilled at this point, or was there still a husband-shaped hole in your heart that you were looking for throughout all this excitement? Living a life someone like me could literally not even dream of until you just tell me these crazy stories.
Yeah, I definitely say I was fulfilled. Like I was very happy. I loved, like I wasn't like a bored single person. I didn't, I obviously like hoped that I would still be, find my husband one day and have a family, but I also really love what I did. I felt very much like in my calling and was having a great time. For sure. But
I love when people give me a different answer than I'm anticipating. I've got like 10 follow-up questions and now I'm pivoting. So you were happy. You were fulfilled, living a great life, which is amazing, actually, to just enter in and be aware of the gift of the moment and be there. Oh, how did the husband thing happen if you weren't necessarily like craving that? Because a lot of people in their young mid-20s are like, that's their one, they're doing a lot of stuff, but their one focus is finding a spouse.
Sure.
So if you, although most people's lives don't look like yours, aren't as exciting as yours. So how did the whole husband thing happen?
I'll just say, like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I wasn't, consciously always on the lookout for someone that I thought would fit into my life. It wasn't my obsession. And I'm very thankful for that because it can easily become the focus. And I'm thankful that, I don't know. whether I was just able to redirect myself or that was just God's grace. But regardless, living
Well,
my
let me just extract a thing real quick, and then we're going to go back, bookmark into your actual story about finding a spouse. But like, you could have let those amazing moments pass you by, because instead of seeing what was right in front of you, as another guest on my show, Bridget Hara, said, like, your head be where your feet's at. Instead of that, your head could have been into the future, and you could have been in the midst of 100 horses rearing up on you, and you're not there. You're not living the excitement. YETI calls you, and you're like, oh, but it's not a husband. I wanted a husband to call, not YETI.
yeah.
You know, like, you could have missed all that amazing stuff happening. 20,000 followers on Instagram, massive back and forth. And so I think there is a gem. You're a great example, Emily, to me and the listeners, of like, be where you're at. Life is the only guarantee we have is today and our death. So live today, man, because it's all we got. And of course, you have to be prudent thinking about and setting up the future. But wow, that's inspiring. I can't wait to pull that out somehow in the reflection guide this coming Wednesday. Okay, so it's on your mind, but it's not. You're not obsessed with it. It's not distracting you from day-to-day ops.
Mhm.
So then what happened?
So I had done some photography work in Oregon. I went to the small town called Jordan Valley, Oregon. I shot some like more buckaroo type stuff that I'd never done before. It was really neat. I learned about that area. I made some friends in that area. I then a little while after that, I had some friends that talked me into shooting an elopement. I don't do weddings, but they were eloping on this ranch in Idaho, and I was like, heck yeah, like that sounds very fun. So I went and did that. I became really good friends with this bride and groom and maintained a relationship with them. They also were in the Oregon ranching circle, the rodeo circle, and so I was a little bit familiar with that Oregon, Idaho, Nevada part of the world. Anyways, a few years after that elopement and my friendship was cultivating with that bride and groom, they are like, they realize that they have this friend in Oregon that they think I need to meet. And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I never thought about this. You need to meet Nick Eiguren. Like, how do we make this happen? And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I'm game. Like, we look him up on Instagram and I'm like, yes, I am interested. Absolutely. And
Is
turns
he a
out,
hot cowboy? What'd you like when
oh
you
yeah,
saw him on Instagram?
yes, that. And what I found when I got on Instagram was that he is from Jordan Valley, Oregon, that community, that town that I'd spent several days in and photographed in. And I never met him. I never saw him, but I actually was photographing his cousins, for most of the
No
time
way.
and become friends with his cousins. And, so we already had some connections and, I was just like, and I learned that he was Catholic. So, yeah, his mom made
Was that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
that was the game changer. Absolutely. That was the best thing. And so, I found his mom had an Instagram. She builds rosaries. She makes custom rosaries. And I saw that and I was just like, oh my goodness, like this just feels like this is falling into place. He's a cowboy. They ranch. You know, his family, they're devout Catholic. He seems like, I think he's like probably my age. So yeah, let's see what this mutual friend thing, like maybe, like, why not, you know? And, so we were introduced over the phone, and we have never stopped talking since then. And so that was, fall of 2021, and we've been together ever since.
This wedding couple, you shot their elopement. Was that just a job at first? Did you know them originally, or did that start as just a job?
We were acquaintances, mostly just through Instagram. We like didn't really know each other at that time.
You guys, we talk about this on the pod regularly. Like, your sphere of influence, you never know how the people that you interact with on a regular basis will impact your life. And Emily, literally, someone you interact with on Instagram, they love your work, you do their wedding, they end up connecting you to your future husband, the future father of your children.
Yes, that's literally exactly how it happened,
we
which is so crazy.
we don't need to do insane things. We just need to love the people that are put in front of us, big or small. One DM. It's like crazy how every interaction can shape our lives. I mean, most of them, 99% of them, just happen and go away. But the 1%, if you're not the person you want to be in all your interactions, how do you know you're going to be the person you want to be on the one interaction that matters? And Emily, what a great example of that. I don't even know what to call that, but whatever that is, you are a great example. Emily, but if by this time I've been all over your website, I'm dying to go look at your stuff. Where can people find you on the interwebs if they want to check you out and find your stuff?
Yeah, you can head to my website, which is emilymccartneyphotography.com, or Google Roadrunner Gallery. I don't have the domain to that, sadly, but if you Google Roadrunner Gallery, my website will come up. And yeah, on my website, you can see some portfolio of my work. You can see the prints that I have offered for sale. You can see some of like the fine art work that I've done in the shows that I've been a part of. And then I'm obviously on Instagram under Emily McCartney Photography, as well as Roadrunner Gallery and Facebook too.
You mentioned early on a book you're thinking about compiling. Well, you didn't say the word book, but you said you're compiling some of your stories. I need this. How are you going to put this out?
Well,
We went through a couple. I can imagine there's thousands.
Yeah, I've not thought that much about it. Definitely have not thought about a book. But I don't know, right now it's just in my notes app on my phone. I'm just like, I've got to start writing some of this stuff down. And not that it's like, I think it's the coolest thing ever. I mean, there's people that do way cooler things than me every single day. But I'm like, I think it's worth getting written down for whether it's just for me and 50 years to think back on this time in my life, because I want to touch on something else too. And I met, when I was 22 years old, there was a split in the road. Do I go out on my own, do freelance Western photography, become a Western photographer, or do I take the safe route, get a 9 to 5, whatever? I took the path of going on my own, and it proceeded to lead me to my 20s of, creating memories, doing a lot of adventures, meeting so many amazing people across the country, doing all these things that were very fulfilling. Now I'm 31 years old and I met my husband and we have a child, and I am so content being at home with my baby and I don't feel this. I don't have this fear of missing out. And I totally, totally credit that to the way that I lived in my 20s. And like that's been a really big part of like my transition to motherhood, from the life that I had lived when I was single. And it's just this like contentment and this peace that I have that I don't know if I would have taken that safe route when I was 21, 22 and taken the 9 to 5 and gone into a job and not like scratch that itch of some wild adventures and trusting God's plan and saying yes to stuff. If I wouldn't have done that, now in my 30s, would I feel this way, or would I be like wanting to get big jobs again and wanting to have these clients in different states, and would I still be seeking that? And so it's something I think about a lot, and I'm thankful that I listened to my gut and went the path on that fork in the road, because it very much seems like it was the right thing to do now that I'm kind of on the other side of that in my life.
I'm synthesizing that. That's a lot to take in. That's such a beautiful paradigm perspective on your life. And it makes me think about reflection, about intentionality, about ordering your life in the right way. And when you reflect on your life, it helps you order your life. When you order your life, it helps you live with intention. And when you live with intention, you can enter into the season of life that has brought you. Because we could be doing innumerable things with our life. It just so happens that we're doing what we're doing. And sometimes we all have the ability to look and or the temptation to look and compare our lives to others. And it's like, yeah, maybe someone's doing that and that sounds cool, but that's not where I happen to be. I happen to be here because of the decisions I've made along the way. I was intentional about those decisions. Some I wasn't, some I just, life happens because life
Right.
happens sometimes. But I want to be where I'm at. And it's so, the word that comes to mind when I listen to what you just said about motherhood is peace. You're at peace with your life. Is that fair?
Absolutely. It definitely didn't happen overnight though. My daughter is 1.5 now, and I'm not saying at all that it was just a super easy transition to to a more tethered lifestyle, and a very self giving lifestyle instead of a self-serving lifestyle. I'm not saying that that was just super easy for me by any means, but like I've been able to get there and have that peace and feel very fulfilled now in what my calling is. And it's like it's just a different calling now, and it doesn't mean I don't still have those skills. It doesn't mean I still pick up my camera and do stuff quite often, but it just is different. And it also I've figured out that that's not where my worth is, because I think that I totally built my identity around being the roadrunner, about being this like, this girl on Instagram that travels around and goes to these ranches and gets all these pictures and gets the covers on the magazines. And like, I didn't realize it, but like all of a sudden I'm transitioning out of that, and it's way harder than I thought it was going to be. And that was a very real test. Um, Looking in at myself and being like, oh, I think I idolized that a lot more than I thought at the time. And I think that that had become so much of my identity that all of a sudden I got married. I moved to Oregon where no one knew me. Like I was nobody. Um, and then I got pregnant and couldn't really do photos. I was having to say no to jobs. And then obviously had my daughter, and that has changed my life. But it's like working through some of the realization that my identity had been built around my career and who I was, and this whole vibe that I had, and shifting that into my identity as a mother and a wife, and most importantly, a child of God, and that is my worth. Transitioning from a lot less of those earthly things. And that's exactly what they were, even though it was like my whole world because I didn't have my own family yet. They were earthly things, and like cognitively placing them in my life, ordering them in the priority list of what they actually were, and putting my husband and my child above that, and like actually living that and accepting that in my heart and in my personality and in all the ways. I'm not saying that was pretty at all. It was not pretty, but it's been a big transformation for me, and my growth has been exponential because of it.
What were two things you did intentionally or unintentionally to help shift your identity, your realization of your identity? Because I think a big life switch happened to you, and that's when a lot of people have that moment when they recognize who they truly are, what the foundational truths of their life, what foundational truth of their life is. And for people that are thinking, man, there's a little emptiness inside of me, man, I think there could be a little more out there. I don't want to wait to change jobs, to have a kid, to get married, or I've already done those things and I'm still, I want to take a deeper look. I want to plunge into the depths of my soul. What are a couple things you could give them advice on, counsel on how to penetrate that depth?
I don't really feel like I'm the person to give advice on that because it's still something I'm very actively seeking and like trying to become better at. But some things that I
Well, that's
do,
a piece itself, is that it's not a one and done thing. It's not
yeah, it's
beginning and
like,
end. It's a continual reflection, iterative process.
yes. And so some things I do when I need to like bring myself back to what really matters, is looking at people's life that have less than me, and just like literally just seeing a video on social media or something of a family in a third world country and
Yeah.
like comparing that to my life and seeing how happy they are with, holding their babies or rocking their kids or, you know, spending time with their husband or whatever. And like that comparison has always been a good way to like bring me back, whether it's like, oh, I don't have all the new clothes that I think I want, or I'm just like, oh, I'm not valuing my role as a wife and mother like I should be. And look at these people in, Africa or whatever, and look at how fulfilled their life is. And they have their husband and their child. And like, that's all they need. And they live in a mud hut. And like, here I am thinking, oh, I didn't get the recognition from blankety blank this quarter because I didn't do any big shoots, and I'm just like failing at life, and having a comparison to people that have less than you and are very happy and don't even know what a camera is, and they're valuing, their happiness and God and their family. That always like checks me up pretty good.
Okay. I'm going to frame up this question. You're on your deathbed 60 years from now, and you're looking back at Emily Eiguren today with her business, with her first child, with her husband, with all her cares and wants and desires and hopes and dreams. What does Emily on her deathbed say to Emily today about life, specifically or in general?
Uh, yeah, I think trust the calling, because we're talking about I kind of had like, a different life in my 20s, but I trusted the calling then, and it did lead me to my husband. And so now I'm in a life that looks very different, but I got there. It's a life that I love, and I got there by trusting my calling. So my calling through God to be in the vocation. So shouldn't I keep trusting that calling of what I'm in right now, knowing that it's going to lead me exactly where it's supposed to lead me?
You are a prophetess. Every question I've asked, you've given me something 180 different than I was expecting. Trust the calling. What I love about that is it's universal. And a lot of times when we think about deathbed thoughts and reflections, it's universal things. Like that truth to me, trust the calling, is I could incorporate that into my life. Trust the calling. I
Yeah.
am here where I'm at now. I'm not somewhere else. Be where I'm at. I've trusted it along the way. It's gotten me here. Be here. You're a mom, a lot different life, and a wife, and not traveling as much and living as crazy of a life as you lived 2 years ago or 5 years ago. And you're here. Trust the calling.
And it's great. Like, I love
That might be
life.
the title of this app. Trust the calling.
Dang.
Okay, Emily, you get the last word. What went unsaid? What did I miss in my ignorance that you need to share with the group? We're talking fulfillment. We're talking life. People want to be happy. How do we do it?
Well, obviously, trust your calling, and hopefully your calling involves getting married and having children one day, because it truly, that this experience of that has trumped my very, very highest moments as a career woman, and I would never change that. So if you are able to get married and have children, even though you think that it will mess up everything in your life, I promise it will only make it so much better.
Ladies and gentlemen, Emily Eiguren. I'll put links to her stuff in the show notes. They're one of one. You're the best. Thank you so much for coming on, Emily.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, everyone. Quick 10-second ask from you. If you're digging the show and you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite part. If you're listening on Spotify, please give this show a 5-star rating. On iTunes, please leave a quick review. If you're listening on Substack, please subscribe and join the comments. You may want to subscribe in a few different places. For example, YouTube, you get all of our short content, 60-second to 90-second clips, our segments where we segment out 1 to 6 minute different segments of each episode. And then if you subscribe on the Substack, I summarize the episode in a newsletter. You can read it in a couple minutes. And then a couple days after the episode, I put out a self-reflection guide to help you personalize the content to your life. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please share it with a friend.